I'm Matt.
I'm Shane.
And if you like what you hear, make sure you hit that thumbs up button real hard. And make sure you subscribe to Comic Movie Marks.
And also click that little bell for all of the notifications.
Whee!
Always remember,
If Trailer Trash can do it,
anyone can do it.
hello and welcome everyone to another Comic Movie Marks video.
Yeah.
Cool, Shane. Way to get in there. Shane has a cold, and he has no idea where he's at right now, so I will carry most of this damn episode.
Yeah, all I can say is thank God for post editing. It definitely helps. Makes us sound somewhat coherent, especially when you're rambling on and on about nonsense for fucking ever.
Yeah, like
and
White
trim.
Anyway.
Yeah, like the Power Rangers. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, so we're gonna talk about some tweets. Holy shit, was there a Twitter war going on between Daniel Alter, some guy that produced some random shit, and Jay Oliva, I guess his name would be, one of the predominant guys that helped with Man of Steel and BVS.
So Jay Oliva is a storyboard artist that has been involved in a lot of different films over the years. He's done a lot of animated films. He's done a lot recently. He's done Thor Ragnarok, Justice League, Spider-Man Homecoming, Wonder Woman. He did BVS, Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, obviously, which that's what we're going to get into. He has done a lot of stuff. He's also been a director on a couple smaller things as well, but largely he's known for being a storyboard artist. So he kind of knows, he's behind the scenes, he's tied to these films before any of us are, because we all know that the films pretty much start after the director. It's like, all right, storyboard time.
Okay. Sorry, I was reading these tweets.
All right, so even with my cold, I will be carrying this now.
I got lost in the tweets. Anyway, yeah, so he had a Twitter war with Daniel Alter. Wow, what a war. We found out a lot of information that is just fascinating. It's fascinating to see what the scope of what the DCU was supposed to be.
Yes. And I have this has slightly also proven me wrong a little bit on the hunch that I had and my predictions and kind of the behind the scenes of what was happening with Zack Snyder. I'm very intrigued now, and it's very sad we didn't get what it sounds like we were supposed to, even more so. But you know, we'll kind of get into that. We gave a little bit of Jay Oliva. I have no idea how to pronounce his last name. But anyways, we gave a little bit of Jay's background. Do you know anything about Daniel Alter?
I just know he's produced some content, some kind of shitty movies and shit like that a lot of people were ragdogging on, that he, like, oh, what have you done? You did this bullshit. So it's not like you're much of a fucking, you're worth a damn.
Okay. I pulled up his IMDb. Doesn't even have a picture, so that's off to a good start.
He is pretty ugly.
He's done, he was a producer on Hitman.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's the first thing I saw. Didn't this dude
That's pretty much it. Like, he's done
The
Apparition. He was an executive producer. Abominable. He got a credit for something. He got a thanks.
Yeah, he got a cookie.
Holy shit. So you've done a whole lot of nothing. And yep, but
more than us, but yes, you've done a whole lot.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, you know, we've done a lot, over 500 subs, so fuck off.
and not moving anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway,
so starting off with
we like that
tweets.
number a lot.
Yeah.
600's overrated.
Yeah, exactly. So starting off with the tweets, Daniel Alter randomly tweeted, "If you told me 5 years ago that Man of Steel still wouldn't have a sequel, but the whole world would know who the Vision is, I might have thought you insane." You insane, G.
No one knows who the Vision. No one knows who the fucking Vision is. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. All he's gonna be is a sacrifice. Anyway.
Yeah, pretty much. I've already seen some pretty funny spoiler memes, and I don't really care. They're entertaining, so they made me chuckle a little bit.
Okay, so Jay replies. I'm gonna call him just Jay.
Yeah, sounds good.
I don't want to butcher his last name. It looks pretty simple, but you never know sometimes. Sometimes people add an accent or something. Anyway, so Jay replies with, "Man of Steel was never meant to have a sequel because it was supposed to be chapter 1 of Cinco," meaning 5 for all you non-Spanish people out there.
You.
Chapter story. Un, die, trois,
Yeah,
cans.
exactly.
C's. Anyway, for the French ones. Anyway, notice how BVS follows exactly after MOS, Man of Steel. It's like book 2 of Harry Potter. I don't know. Harry Potter 2 sucked ass.
That tweet alone, like, I was like, holy shit.
Oh, yeah.
Chapter 1 of a 5-chapter story. So in addition to, I just want to take a little bit of time on this specific tweet, because as soon as I read that, I was like, holy fuck. So and not only, you know, almost everyone sticks to a trilogy, but in every form, that's what they're gunning for. Even some things don't happen, some things do. Everyone's shooting for a trilogy. And Zack Snyder was like, you know what, I'm going to do this more in like a book form, like Harry Potter. Lord of the Rings has had a lot of, even Lord of the Rings was a trilogy, and then I think branched out from there. But he's like, you know what, we're going to do a 5-chapter story. And that about blew my mind, because it totally changed what I thought was going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, someone tried to confirm, a guy named Evan Almighty, apparently. What a great name. Shitty movie, but all right. So he put 5 question mark. He's really want to use all the characters that Twitter gives him so much. So he used 3 question marks on this. Man of Steel, BVS, Justice League 2, and question mark, meaning 5. And Jay replied, yep. So that mysterious 5th movie that no one seems to know about, I kind of wanted to just throw a quick guess out there. Don't mean to jump ahead a little bit, but later tweet shows that somebody asked him again, what could that 5th movie be? And he said that's a question for Zack to answer, meaning Zack Snyder, not just some random guy named Zack. And I honestly think what it would probably be is a Man of Steel 2 Electric Boogaloo. That's probably what you would get. I think that's what Snyder would want to conclude it with, is a Man of Steel 2. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I could see that. I honestly, I didn't even think that deep into it, as far as like, oh, what was he shooting for?
I always go deep.
Well, lucky you. Just bragging. I do what I can. But
yeah, one time my girlfriend was telling me that we were supposed to get 1 to 3 inches tomorrow night, and I was like, how about you get 1 to 3 inches tonight?
Nice.
Yeah,
perfect.
And I did not get one.
Yep, sounds about right.
That was not a deal breaker.
No deal. So my whole theory, what I've always thought, is that Zack Snyder created Man of Steel. Well, obviously, actually, Christopher Nolan is the one who approached Zack Snyder first, and then they kind of said, all right, yeah, let's start off with Man of Steel, and I'm going to throw in a lot of these Easter eggs, and we'll kind of go from there. Then the studio said, we need to have our version of the Avengers, the studio obviously meaning WB. We need you to ramp this up, and you need to include all these different heroes. We need to have a Justice League. So he goes, okay, let's go ahead and introduce Batman. We'll have him in this next one. This is what we're going to do for the second one, and then we're going to have these emails that introduce the rest of the characters. And your third movie will be Justice League. I'm actually going to split it into 2 parts, blah, blah, blah. That's kind of where I thought a lot of the pressure was coming from, was the studio saying, we need to get to this point. Now, according to Jay, that wasn't the case. Actually, there was a plan from the very beginning in Man of Steel. All those Easter eggs actually meant something, of saying, hey, look, this is happening in the same universe as Batman, as Bruce Wayne, and Lex Luthor, and all these other things are in the same universe. And, you know, fast forward to Batman v Superman, that was his plan. So it changes, you know, my whole theory, and kind of, not necessarily, I'm not blaming Zack Snyder, but it definitely changes, like, okay, it was his choice of, this is how he wanted to go, how he wanted to branch things out a little bit.
Well, it's also the media's issue here, and Daniel here, the great man that he is, decides to challenge Jay on this one and says, dude, ! That's revisionist history. BVS became a sequel to MOS after it underperformed at the box office, which is a lie. It never underperformed at the box office. It just didn't hit $1 billion, so that means it underperformed.
Yeah, exactly.
And by now, there could still be a sequel to MOS. Next, you'll tell me Justice League was never meant to make that much money. So then Jay replies, and so this is very telling because this is what the media has been saying forever, that BVS was tacked onto MOS, and I think a lot of it had to do with the David Goyer quote where he said, when you start having Batman versus Superman, it was, I'm paraphrasing to this point, but when you have Batman versus Superman is when you run out of ideas. He said something to that effect. I remember it was kind of, it was a quote that was taken out of context from like a while back. It wasn't something that he said right when this was coming out, but people really dwelled on that quote and talked about, so that's what they assumed, that this was tacked on. So Jay replies, Daniel, with all due respect, you piece of shit, who would know more about this, you or I? I added the all due respect. Anyway, you or I. It's not revisionist history. Seriously, I take offense to you insinuating that I don't know what I'm talking about, bitch.
Yeah. So some random ass producer with his whoever, you know, the media or his insider or whatever, knows more than someone who actually worked on the film films. So he was a part of all of them.
It's how the media has just represented this the whole time. Everybody has always said that BVS was tacked on. Dawn of Justice was just a way for WB to try to catch up to Marvel. That's always what we kept hearing, that it was never planned out. It was a panic button maneuver to accelerate the universe to catch up to Marvel. That's always the rhetoric that was repeated over and over again. And how does propaganda start? You repeat the same lie over and over again until it's believed. So
yeah, but you have to be one ignorant douchebag, a la Daniel Alter, who is at Daniel Alter 007 on Twitter. If you want to go attack his page a little bit,
D Alter.
Oh yeah, D Alter 007. Thank you. So you have to be an ignorant douchebag to believe. Thank you, to believe the media and what the media has been telling you. Oh, everyone knows all this, and then have someone go, no, this was actually the case, and argue it with someone who is involved in the movies, instead of going, oh, well, thank you for educating me. No, he fucking actually Jay. His so 2 tweets down. So Daniel.
Well, Daniel does say, dude, again, but no exclamation point. So he's calm this time. Dude, you know I love and respect your work because you actually work, unlike me. But it's widely known around town how/why BVS became a sequel to MOS, meaning everybody knows this, and you don't know shit. Jay responds,
please educate me. Yeah, so that's the tweet I was getting to, is instead of Daniel Alter going, oh, okay, yeah, educate me on what actually happened. This is what's been the rumor. Oh my gosh, you've blown my mind. Like, this is what everyone thought, and now you're bringing this to light. Please tell me. Very condescendingly, Jay says, please educate me, you fucking moron, because apparently you know more than I do.
What the fuck just happened?
So Daniel triple downs on his double del and fucking says, after MOS was a big disappointment at the box office, wah, 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 along with corporate changes and creative fights, the decision was made to move ahead with BVS as the next movie. It was not the plan before the film came out. Anything else is a spin. I won't toe that line. Wow, you just...
Yeah, I'm going all in.
Dude, seriously.
Everything I got on 6 Black. I don't know. I don't fucking play craps or whatever the fuck that game is. But
poker would be
he's
a little
going
bit
all
easier.
In. On a hooker? Is that what you said?
No, poker.
Oh.
he's got a fucking pair of twos, and he's fucking going all in. And
yeah, exactly. And he's bluffing. Thank you. That's a much clearly I'm not a gambler. But that's what I was trying to say. So then Jay very intelligently says, okay, school's in session, bitch.
Bueller.
Ding, ding, motherfucker.
Yeah. And he says, back in April 2013, before MOS released in June, I was tasked with doing the Superman 75 short. I met with Zack, who is the exec producer on it, and he showed me storyboards of BVS with Batman already in it. And it was a Batman from DKR, Dark Knight Returns, obviously.
In parentheses, before MOS released in June.
Yep, exactly. So before everything happened, before all
it
this...
underperformed. according to Daniel.
Yeah, exactly. The box office big disappointment or whatever the fuck Daniel was saying. Like, no, this was stuff that Zack was already starting on.
Oh man, these are glorious tweets. Glorious.
So then Jay continues, I know this as a fact because I was there and I remember it very clearly. Right, yeah, exactly. Not from a source, not rumor has it, not from Collider or whoever the fuck. Yes, I was there. I remember it very clearly because I was sad that I may not get the opportunity to work on a film that used Miller's DKR as an influence because, well, you know, I kind of did a little film that did just that. So how could it be revisionist history if the plan for the following films were already planned before, in all caps, before the release of MOS? Now, was there a plan to do a sequel when Goyer and Nolan wrote it? I don't know for sure, but you can bet your ass that prior to June, there was a plan.
One extra little tweet here I want to throw in. Some guy named Andy here wanted to continue with Dave's kind of retardation, but I get what he's trying to say, so I won't completely call this guy a retard. If I can say, Jay, as someone who loves Man of Steel, there have been many rumors saying Man of Steel was always meant to have a sequel, but then Batman got shoved into the mix. Exactly what we were talking about earlier. The media just forced down your throat and everybody believed. Jay replies with, rumor or fact, ? Which one do you want to listen to?
Yes! Yes! Oh, yeah! Can you feel that, buddy? Huh? 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 I have exorcised the demons.
And Andy put, touche.
That's great. Nice. See, at least Andy shows somewhat of some intelligence, unlike me stumbling over my words.
He shows some intelligence.
Yep, some work. It works.
Today, Junior.
So then the next tweet from Jay says, later that year, Zack called me and I flew to Detroit to start work on BVS. This was on Thanksgiving, and Detroit was cold as heck because of the polar vortex. Thanks for the unnecessary
well, he's being descriptive.
Detail there.
Maybe it's a movie he's doing.
Could be.
Called the polar vortex.
So you can believe what you, in quotes, heard or from someone who was there. Revisionist history, yeah, sure, whatevs.
Oh, he ran out of characters.
He is fired up. Yeah.
Whatevs.
Whatever's funny is the fact that you doubt this. What's
ever funny is that the fact. Yeah, it is kind of weird how it's written.
Yeah. What's ever funny is the fact that you doubt this around the very exact date 5 years ago. I already had started on the short at this time because earlier I had just started Assault on Arkham, which I had to step away for 2 months to do the 75 short.
Wow. So ultimately, Jay just laid the smackdown and the facts on the whole damn tweeting world, Twitter war, whatever the hell it is. Everybody. So I mean, I'm more inclined to believe him over anybody else. I'm not.
And we're not that intelligent people, and even we can figure out like, someone who was involved in the movie or the shit that's been the rumor mill since, 5 years ago, since Man of Steel first came out. And I will say, everyone, and including myself, thought the same thing that Daniel did, where, okay, yeah, with the pressures and stuff like that, like I said, with the studio. So one of the things that I just wanted to kind of touch on as well is, I guess one of the criticisms of cramming too much in Batman v Superman is pretty valid. I always said, well, Zack Snyder was doing the best he could and did a damn good job at trying to include all of this into the universe to eventually grow into Justice League. Instead of, because a lot of people complained and said it should have just been solely focused on Batman and Superman fighting each other. That should have been the movie. Don't get into the Doomsday stuff. Don't get into the Lex Luthor stuff, the emails, cut all that out, and it would have been successful.
Well, that's what people would have expected. And that's what I've really noticed with BVS is that it didn't do exactly what people thought it was going to do. It didn't follow this linear line that everybody assumed it was going to go.
Exactly. Yep.
And that was the problem.
Simplistic minded.
So shorten it up, make it just Batman versus Superman, and call it a day. The thing I've always assumed about BVS was that I've always felt that the Batman in part of it wasn't necessarily attack on. It was kind of planned. The part of the thing that I have always knew was attack on was the Dawn of Justice part. Like, even Zack Snyder has even admitted that, like, we can call it Dawn of Justice, like, just so he could do a couple things that he wanted to do.
Right.
So I thought that part was always the tacked on part, and that's maybe is where, in some people's eyes, that, like you were just saying, Dawn of Justice did get a little cluttered for them. When you, we obviously enjoy BVS here, especially obviously the Ultimate Cut version. But then when you also see where it was supposed to go, you're like, this dude constructed a universe in such a way that every movie mattered, and that was the point.
Oh man,
that was the point. And you know, like we talked about in our MCU ranking video, there is some MCU Marvel movies that you could never even see and you wouldn't even give a shit about ultimately. And this though was going to make every movie matter in the universe. That was the point. He didn't want a flavor of the week, as he called Ant-Man. But hey, well, whatever happens with Zack Snyder. Ultimate Cutly. I don't know what he's going to do now from this point. There's so many rumors and the things he's doing on Vero and the back and forth and whatever's going on. I don't know. People are really hoping for a big announcement at Comic-Con. So we will see. We will ultimately see what will happen.
Yeah, I hopefully the DC ship gets, you know, on the right course, and it's sad, and this is just more depressing things of, I've said before that I wish that Zack Snyder was the Kevin Feige of the DC, that he should have had all control, and he kind of, I mean, he was producer on Wonder Woman, and you know, that could just be for casting Gal Gadot and
Batman.
And Batman with Suicide Squad. So I always felt that he had a mind for trying to actually have some sort of comic type feel of intertwining these characters so well.
It was like a serial continuation.
Exactly. Yeah, and he had a plan for 5 films, and I don't know if it's, you know, his flaw in not passing that along and saying, hey, this is what I want to do with these 5 films, we have to see it through kind of thing, or if he did do that and Warner Brothers basically said, oh, this isn't making enough money right off the bat, it's not making $1 billion, as Matt said, so it's not successful all of a sudden, and then they're the ones who pulled the plug. It's sad though, because he was on to something so different other than just the linear trilogy, making people think, stepping outside the box. You know, like you said, people were expecting Batman v Superman. That's it. Very linear, very predictable. And he was like, you know what? Fuck that. We're gonna branch off a little bit, and I'm gonna give you guys something that you can really sink your teeth into. And like you said, a serial where every movie matters. You need to know every movie. You need to watch the movie that came before the one you're currently watching. I read this non-spoiler review on Infinity War, and one of the things that stood out most was the guy said, my wife went into this only watching a handful of the MCU movies, and she did perfectly fine. And it's like, holy shit. So this culmination movie, and someone who's like, no, I have no idea what's going on, but she understood everything. And that's not what Zack Snyder wanted with his universe, and it's sad and angers me that we will never get that.
Yeah, I haven't watched many Infinity. Actually, I've only seen one Infinity War review, so I don't plan on seeing any others. So
I've seen, or actually not seen. These were articles, so I read 2 of them, 2 non-spoiler.
Ooh, fancy,
just kind of curious
reading.
Yeah, I know, and you can imagine how long it took me to read them, given how quickly I read tweets and articles on our podcast. So it was a struggle, but I did it.
Lightning McQueen, man. All right, so that's going to conclude this. Super interesting shit. We keep getting more and more information. One of these days, there is going to be a documentary, a legitimate one, on the DCU and what really happened. And that's going to be one hell of a time for someone to get as much information as possible. But maybe 10 years down the line, we'll learn what happened in this like 5-year span between Man of Steel and Justice League.
Yeah.
Would be even after Justice League, what happened with pretty much kicking everybody out and firing them and demoting them and shit. It's gonna be interesting. One of these days, hopefully, we'll be able to crack that nut and figure out what the fuck happened to this whole situation. So, in case I don't see you,
Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
congratulations, you made it to the end of the video. You're one of very few to make it to the end.
Yes, thank you very much.
Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to Comic Movie Marks Podcast and hit the notification bell. You know, all these fucking YouTube channels say this shit, so I'm going to say it now.
Yes, it's perfect. And if you want to hear our full podcast, you can check out our podcast on iTunes or any other podcast subscription service.
Make sure you subscribe. Thanks again.